It's one of the most iconic structures in New York, and for decades a myth has surrounded the spire of the Empire State Building, fueled by urban legend, TV shows, and Hollywood movies.
Sure you know that the original purpose for the so-called observation deck, the Empire State Building, was to be a docking station for Zeppelins, of course.
It's one of the city's most enduring tales. The spire of the Empire State Building was meant as a mooring mast for dirigibles, the floating aircraft that captured the public's imagination in the early 1930s. Even today, the spire is officially called a mooring mast by the building's owners for currently replacing its 84-year-old windows. But there's just one problem, according to the chief executive of the company that runs the building.
Of course, it was never a mooring mast. It was never meant to bring a dirigible to the top of the building. It was put there so that it would be taller than the Chrysler Building. Lots of people have images from a postcard that was put together in the early 1930s of a winch that's inside the mooring mast that shows how they'd bring, with a huge giant drum, how they'd bring the dirigibles down to the building. And the reality is there's no room for a winch. There's hardly any room in there for anything.
So where did the idea of the mooring mast come from? Well, that would be Al Smith, the one-time governor of New York and former president of Empire State, Inc., the company that oversaw the building's construction and operated it at the time of its opening in 1931. Historians say that Smith publicly promoted the idea of docking dirigibles to hide the mast's true purpose, which was to raise the building to a definitive height over the rival Chrysler Building, which was under construction at the same time. The addition of a 200-foot spire gave Empire a commanding claim to the title of world's tallest building. The later addition of an antenna brought the building to its current height of 1,454 feet. Today, it's the 25th tallest building in the world. But where Smith's rhetoric soared, the current CEO's is a little more down to earth.
The great fallacy is that something could be docked there in the first place. The fact of the matter is a tremendous amount of wind hits the building and is drafted directly up. The tail would have been blown high up in the air. It never could have maintained ballast because of the wind. So it was never even a thought.
The myth took flight thanks to doctored photos and illustrations showing dirigibles mooring on the spire. Today it lives on in film and television, even making an appearance in the 2004 movies Sky Captain and The World of Tomorrow. But sorry, Hollywood, this picture's just a lot of hot air.